Yeah, I think we're ready.
Alrighty. Well, welcome back, everyone, to our wonderful Friday stream. We finally have video for Katie. Yay! Isn't that wonderful? So I don't know what the plan is because I was not listening. So I'm just gonna let someone else take over.
Okay, here's the deal. Just introduce yourself, Nick.
Okay.
Or we can do it for you, and then you know what? Let's all just introduce Nick in place of introducing ourselves.
Oh, okay. Cool. I guess I'll start. Nick is here. He is now. And he welcomes you to the stream every morning. So yeah.
Morning?
Yeah.
Every morning.
Every morning.
We do this every morning. We just only show like the best of.
Yes.
Job who, me?
I am the Kick Six of Mantra. I am a tiefling barbarian, and you know, I am pretty like strong and muscular, which is like one day, if I actually try hard enough, that will be me. Probably not this year. But yeah, that's how I want to describe myself. And let's see. I'll move it on to someone who wants to volunteer. Okay, Rozzy.
This is Kix, named after the cereal. He is basically a fucking bro.
His name's Chad.
And has maybe like 3 brain cells to rub together inside that skull of his. But he'll come through if you need a door kicked in. That is all.
Love it.
Kevin?
Yeah, Nick is will be playing as a floating head wearing a black shirt on a dark room. His character, however, is nothing like Nick. He is
true.
strong and athletic and
Aww.
Wow, I'm depressed.
fully capable of assisting in combat.
God, you've never made me want to like die so quick before. Damn.
Alright, Katie, we set him up for you. Take him down.
Fucking destroy me.
Hello, man.
Oh.
Okay. Katie, you're exempt from this because you haven't been exposed to Nick long enough. So if you'd like, you can introduce yourself, or you can introduce Nick, or it doesn't matter.
You can introduce
Whatever
my
you'd
cat.
like
Yeah, Mia's a special part of the stream at this point. She gets more camera time than some of the people who play.
She's here.
Aww. So I'm Katie. I barely know Nick, but Nick is apparently a person that exists.
There we go.
I'm glad
there
about
we
that.
go. That's what we're going to put on the posters. Nick, a person that exists.
Apparently a person that exists. Print that out in your copy print center. I demand
Thank
it.
you. We're going to make sure that we get some... you think you can get us a deal on about 200,000 posters?
Yeah. Nick, he's apparently a person.
Semi-serious because I just thought of it right now. Nick, did we order more business cards to hand out at PAX?
I still have literally 2 boxes of business cards,
okay.
So I can bring that
Excellent.
with me.
Okay. And so... Yeah, so... Okay, so now that we've had our little fun and games for today, I'm Derek.
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna do a quick recap of this game, but I'm gonna do it from the perspective of Nick's character.
Oh Jesus! Oh, Jesus Christ!
So here we go. Let's see. When we started the situation, when we started the session last time, yes, I was standing there watching that old bard dude, like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, Nick. I used the word dude. That's probably not something you use very often. So let me rephrase that.
Bro.
I was watching the old bro
Oh, fuck you.
bite himself. No. So when we started the session last time, the group was having they were watching the previous mayor of the town fight himself. That went very quickly, and that at the same time they went to get him after he was killed. The copy of him was killed. Sorry, they brought him to the temple to get him healed. They actually had a little bit of trouble trying to pinpoint exactly how to cure him or fix the problem. So they sent the dog off to the temple to get to get the cleric. Eventually, the whole group went over there, and they didn't have the cleric, but they did have Nebel, the goblin paladin gravedigger, who laid on hands, cured Lego, and there was a brief discussion, and is it Taika, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Taika came to deliver a message that Lego was to stop pillaging nature and cutting down trees. Essentially, then he told her that was not his situation. It was the dwarven camp to the northwest. So she went off to deliver that message to the dwarves and found herself at a pond about to interact with a troll who was coming out of this pond. While the rest of the party stayed back, afraid to sleep in the inn, they decided to take up residence in Lego's house. Bosco getting dog fur all over the place is important, but unlike most other dogs, at the end of the day, I bet you he cleaned it up. He's a good boy.
But I didn't.
Oh, see, bad boy. No.
Hair just belongs places I go. It makes me feel comfortable.
So where we are right now is Taika is standing in front of a pond. A troll's coming out of that pond, about to have a bit of a dialogue, probably. Who knows exactly. The rest of the party is having slept the night, now awakened in Lego's house to a small breakfast. Nothing like too extravagant, but there's some sides, some bacon, some eggs, a couple of pitchers of fresh water, some other stuff. A few older looking baked goods, seeing as the bakery is kind of been shut down for the time being. As the last thing to come out of the bakery was a bunch of infernal gingerbread men. So I think we're all happy that bakery is currently closed.
Devil cookie.
Devil cookies. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna roll a die for myself, and an evens. I'm gonna move to dealing with Katie first, and odds I'm gonna deal with the rest of the group first, and we have evens. So we'll deal with Katie first.
Yay.
Okay. So let's set this scene again. You left the city of Rustgrave. You traveled along. You got a bit of a warning about following a certain path, but not going to the west because you would have to deal with trolls. And when you kept going, you found yourself near a small pond, and you followed some lights that kind of fairy lights that kind of led you to this pond. You get to the pond, and it's at that moment when you've looked down in the surface of this water, you're going to investigate it. When this troll comes up, he's about it's about 9 feet tall. Though he's hunched over, and he does have like webbing between his hands and feet. He's a dark green, black complexion. Looks a lot like skin looks a lot like the back of certain frogs. It's that dark green with the speckled black, and he's kind of come out of the water. He's about 20 feet from you or so at this point, and no, 10 feet from you. Sorry, at this point, because you did go over to look in the surface, and that is where we're going to begin. If you're unsure of the things you can do or what, we're happy to help you move forward, but you're now kind of standing more or less face to face with a troll.
Okay.
Whoa,
Katie, you just went full robot.
Can you tell me about that?
We're having problems hearing you right now. Your audio's not coming through clean.
Yeah, for a second you went really robotic, so everything you said was kind of.
Okay. Do I sound better now?
Better-ish.
Yeah, I'm hearing you a little clearer now. There's still a little bit of something on the line, but I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
Which mic audio input is Discord trying to use? And if it's trying to use a default, select the specific one you'd like to be using.
Okay.
Its defaults, for whatever reason, give you some really weird things.
Do you know where to track those settings down at?
Yeah, I just found it. Do I sound better? Or no change?
I think you sound a little better, at least on this end. A little bit.
Okay.
Is anybody else hearing it? Doesn't sound as robotic for sure.
Okay.
Basically sounds like muffled.
Yeah.
Like there's something over your mic or something, but it's fine. We can understand what you're saying. So.
Okay. I'll have to get a better mic. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. We all have to make adjustments when we do this, so we can work with it for now and see what we can do.
Okay.
So at this moment, I think you're about 10 feet away from this troll. It is, so like I said, it's about nearly 9 feet tall. It's a little hunched over, though. You imagine that, should it stand up, fully, it would be quite, it would be pretty, pretty much like you probably get another foot or so on its height if it stood up altogether. And it hasn't said anything yet. It's kind of pulling itself out of this pond. It's right at the edge, so you're free to do whatever you think is necessary at this point.
Okay. I put down the rest of the pebbles that were in my hand. That way, like I'm not armed.
Okay, and its reaction to you showing that you're not armed, is to kind of sniff at you for a moment. There's a distance between you still. It's just about 10 feet. It's kind of sniffing in your general direction, and then it says in in common, so you can fully understand it. It's like, you are not to be eaten. You are not to be eaten. It's like, she said you are not to be eaten. And he looks back at you for a second. Then he starts to, you're free to interact with him as you wish, but he is now backing back into the pond.
Weird. Okay.
Yep. So he just eventually backs his way down back into the pond. You see his eyes for just a moment, and then whatever, it just kind of disappears back into the water. You take a moment and get your bearings, and the camp where you're supposed to meet the dwarfs is still a bit to your north. But it's been a bit of a long day and a walk now, so you're kind of starting to get a little tired. So you have several options. You could keep going. You're sure to make it there before the night is over, unless something else were to pop up. But there are you're not too sure sleeping right next to a troll is a good idea, but there are several other options.
I'll just keep going, I guess.
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch any of that. We lost you. Like, just sounded a bit, well, just like a tin can. Couldn't quite get any of the words you said.
Your frame rate has dropped really bad too. Is it a connection issue?
Maybe.
Yeah, don't feel bad. That's a constant
Yeah.
on all of our ends, so you're not the only one.
Yeah, it happens. It's definitely a.
It's slightly out of character, but in this case, blame Discord, not Nick.
Yeah, please don't blame me for something I didn't do.
Let me connect back to my hotspot, and I'll get better reception.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So I'll come back to you in a moment, and I'll go to the rest of the group, and we'll try to get this part situated. Like, I just dropped way red a moment ago myself, so I don't know if any of you heard that, but anyway.
No.
Anyway, we're back to the rest of the group. Up in the morning, breakfast around the table with Lego. That's where you're at this moment. So I think there were some things that you might have wanted to discuss with him before, but you weren't able to with the battle that had gone on.
So we wanted to discuss with Lego.
Yeah, you didn't. You come back from underground, but then when you got back to kind of talk to him, he was already in the midst of battle, so you weren't able to do that. Yeah.
I know that he was very intrigued with what's his face being what's it called? I think we already discussed this with him. The dude who
Terry. We told him about Terry.
Told him about Terry.
And then we went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
We went to
Yeah.
bed.
So, that is actually a question. What did you guys? What was the final decision on what you were going to do with Terry? Did you actually put the nail back in him? Because I think that was
I
the.
think that is what we did. That
I'm
sounds
pretty
right.
sure because he like whenever we touched it, it felt like it was draining our life. So we're like, all right, let's just put it back in him, and he seemed to be fine with it. So
Yeah. So when all this broke out, the last thing that happened, Terry was walking around in the entryway to Lego's house in where the bust is because he couldn't figure out how to activate the bust to go into the dining room.
Oh, that's right. He followed us because we told him to. Yeah, so we're like, oh yeah, he's in your house, by the way.
So like the next morning when you do arrive, Terry is seated at the far end of the table, away from everybody else. There's no food or water in front of him. I mean,
Clearly.
why would there be? But yeah, you do notice that there's been there's kind of a bandage placed over the nail area where the nail was, but you can clearly still see like the nail sticking like under the bandage, so it hasn't been removed or anything.
Okay.
Gnarly.
Is Lego kind of just observing observing the site, or is he just like not paying attention?
Yeah, Lego recovered at the temple, had come back, had made sure that breakfast was made for you guys, had gotten Terry to sit down, and generally was just leaning back in his chair, drinking something from a large mug. It's kind of impossible to tell what it is, though. He's guarding it quite closely as he drinks it. He doesn't say much as you guys come in. He does seem to be as he's drinking this, he does seem to have one eye on Terry the whole time.
So when I'm certain that he's ready for conversation, I will flash my illusionary chalkboard up above my head with a question written on it. Were you aware of the dungeon complex beneath the local graveyard?
It's a yes or no question.
Well, no, it's actually a little more complicated than a yes or no question.
Wow.
Because I was aware of some of that complex, but not gone down to the extent that you guys have already discussed with me. There were some secret rooms for storing stuff, especially like in the Mathis crypt, that were supposed to be built under there, and I was aware of those. We talked about those. Those were all in the plans. I was just not aware that there was a factory for growing people and other stuff down there that you had discussed.
So
with
the
us before.
illithid was also news to you.
Absolutely. That's not really it's not a easy secret to keep. Like in a town like this, you come in and you're like, yeah, we've got a mind flare in our basement, basically.
Yeah. This town has problems.
It really does. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, if you want my honest opinion, this all started when Mr. Mathis made his deal.
Deal?
With the dwarfs, the Grimsalt dwarfs, and the people in Antwerp, they were going to bring in the railway. There were some complications. They needed raw supplies, so they went and started harvesting some from the forests to the northwest. Some strange things started to happen there as well, and then, like the various things started to happen with the Mathis family. And, like, for instance, we all thought Terry was gone, and now, well, look over there. We thought he had gone missing, which, yes, he had technically gone missing, but we didn't know he was just kind of underneath us the entire time, and in this particular state. Melody is still very soon going to trial, and I'm not sure, honestly, what evidence that we can bring to support her, because a lot of what you're saying to me and a lot of what I've seen, it incriminates her family.
Okay.
It links them to a force that, let's be honest, not very many people want to be linked with the mind flare. And this fungal stuff and hell cookies and all of this other stuff, and then having to explain the fact that Terry is a zombie.
I believe that is the technical term. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe. And we still haven't found Mrs. Mathis.
So, like,
Or-
I need to know,
or-
though, those cookies were not... It didn't seem like they were the Mathis. They just seemed to be the result of that crazy baker.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. The book, and he bends down, reaches it, pulls it, and slaps the book down on to the table. And he opens just the far back. He's very cautious about opening the front pages or to anything in the middle. He just opens it to the far back, and he goes, kind of right here, there's an inscription. From it says from a family friend, and it's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Mathis.
From Mrs. Mathis?
No, it's to them, but it says from a family friend. I've not been able to identify the handwriting. It's not anybody. Well, okay. The town doesn't have a whole lot of people now, but it's not anybody that I know.
Now, with all the illiths and zombies, I would assume the population is decreasing.
Yeah, so now there's only like maybe 2 people here.
Yeah. Well, there's Usit and
you and there's only 3
Yeah.
people.
there's me and Usit and Nebel. Nebel's still got his job digging graves and dealing with that stuff. There's 3 of us, and then Thundu when he's around. I'm sure you met him though. He's the coachman for the train.
He sounds familiar.
Yes.
Yeah. He probably helped you bring your bags off or something when you arrived here. Or maybe he didn't, depending on, I don't know. There are still the farmers on the edge of town, but they mostly keep to themselves. And having like any kind of discussion with them about zombies or like dead things is most likely going to result in a panic, and they will leave.
I mean, well, shit. I'm surprised that no one's left from the panic from last night.
Really?
Well, I can't say that they haven't left because I haven't been out to the farms yet. So, I was recovering from a pretty nasty little bug, apparently. But you're well aware of that. I think that what we're dealing with right now, it's very simple. Okay, it's not very simple, but this is what I think we're dealing with. Mr. Mathis made a deal. Oh, I think we lost Katie.
I think she froze a little while ago.
Yeah. Katie, if you can hear us, we'll be back to you in a few minutes if you can come back.
Yeah, I mean,
that's good.
Technically they're still here because of the we haven't changed in our chat function, but
Yeah. Yeah, there's one black, but
oh, there we go.
There you go. Okay, so as I was saying, he made a deal with somebody, and I don't know all of the details, but from what you guys experienced down below, what we've experienced the last couple of days and everything, I think it's fairly straightforward to say that a good deal of these town's difficulties start with him. That doesn't mean his daughter was responsible, or that his wife or Terry over there are any way responsible for this. But he is a problem.
Well, with all of the people here who are causing problems, why does anyone stay?
End of campaign. Everybody move.
Well, there's a couple of reasons. First off, the dwarves want the resources. Not too long before building the train here, they sent some surveyors out, and we found that there's a real rich vein of platinum in a mine not too far south from here. And this is a good setup, kind of area for your miners to come and relax and recover and recoup and go back in, dig more, that kind of stuff. Secondly, you see the Temple of Allure here. They believe that this is a high magic spot. There's something around here, somewhere in this area, I haven't pinpointed it yet, that would or enables a large amount of raw magical energy to be harnessed. If they can't prove it yet. They're looking.
What if someone else has found that source? Perhaps an illithid or fungus demon from beyond.
Well, if they've found it, then it would kind of be our responsibility to take it back from them if we could. It's not in appropriate hands, although some would say there's not really appropriate hands for that kind of thing. That's just naturally should be left alone.
August, you've been quiet.
No.
You tend to be opinionated. I'm curious what you think.
Nuke the town?
That's a bold statement. It would solve at least 2 of our problems.
The dog has all the ideas.
But see, the problem with that is if we eliminate this town, then we have an angry clan of dwarves who are expecting a certain amount of compensation for the railway that they've already built. We paid there's a deal. Pay a bit up front, and then as time goes on, you pay as profits allow.
So
Can
the
you just
dwarves,
build on the other side of the rail?
I'm sorry, you both clashed for a minute, and there was a
Go
bit
ahead,
of
Kevin.
robotic. I heard
Kevin.
Rozzy say. Well, no, I heard Rozzy say something on the other side, but
the
what was that,
dwarves
Kev?
are banking on the mine paying off in the long run, but they haven't started mining.
No, because they wanted to build the railway so that they could take the fresh ore right away back to Antwerp for processing. They wanted to have the infrastructure in place before digging, because digging, uh, the way they explained it to me, it would cost them too many resources to transport it.
So now that the rail line is functioning, what are they waiting for?
That's the thing. I don't think they're waiting. I think they're building. Well, the last communication I had with them, they were harvesting a bit more wood to build a secondary. Well, to extend the rail line past the city to the mine, so that they could take the train. They could take a separate train straight from the mine back to Antwerp, in that this line would allow, like you guys arrived as passengers or supplies or whatever, without interfering with the transportation of the raw resources. I mean, they're counting on it being quite the vein, plus also, other things they might unearth as they're digging.
I feel like I'm missing a lot of puzzle pieces here. I'm not certain what purpose framing the Mathis girl as a witch is doing.
Well, this is my thought on this. It's I haven't really done all the investigation yet, but this is my thought on this. They want the Mathis family gone because the Mathis family actually owns the rights to the land where the mine is.
I thought you were going to say Spider-Man.
They are essentially going to lease it for a certain amount of the take. And if the Mathis family's no longer there, that's what I think. I mean, this is all conjecture. I don't know for sure, but if the Mathis family were no longer there, then the courts in Antwerp would get to decide who could legally own the property.
So she needs to be married, so it goes to a different person.
Well, she was going to be married.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were supposed to go to a wedding. I hope they still have food.
She was going to be married shortly before her arrest, and things happened. And
God, relatable.
There was an official that died, and her husband or her fiance, that the suitor, disappeared. as well.
She can marry Fosco.
Yeah, but no. But see,
Ew.
and that's why I believe
Ew, yeah.
and that's why I ultimately believe that this is a power play for this land. And I believe the dwarves have something to do with it. Now, what threw me for the loop in this whole investigation thing is the presence of this fungus and this mind flare. And the only thing I could come up with the limited information I have so far, it's all theory, mind you, is that Mathis has stumbled upon something below when they were building their secret rooms for the treasure and everything else they were doing down there. I would imagine if Mr. Mathis was here to explain for himself and he hadn't died.
Well, that's not an excuse.
Perhaps it's time we talk to the dwarves.
I thought you were going to say, let's talk to the dead and be like, yo, explain yourself.
I mean, talking to the dead is technically an option.
I's the crazy one.
Well, as I told the young woman that was here earlier, the
Whatever happened
dwarves
to
are
her?
to the. I imagine she left. I imagine she headed off to meet with the dwarves herself. And that she did ask for directions, and she did seem eager to deliver that message. And I think that was important, you know. But that does add a new wrinkle. If there's some other force out there now saying, don't cut down the trees, don't, how these dwarves are going to react to having another person step in the way to keep them from doing what they want to do. I mean, assuming that, like I said, this is all theory. I have no proof about anything, but I just have suspicions, and I just hear things, and maybe that I shouldn't have heard before. But
if the dwarves are behind the accusation, then they're trying to get a larger cut of the mine output.
or technically, they would get all of the mine if they could get rid of the Mathis altogether. They could get the courts to approve total ownership of the land to them, so they would get the whole thing.
Did we ever find out what specifically she was accused of? That seems like something we might have dealt with early.
The official basically was run over by a cart in the street, and there were witnesses that said it was something that she had done, a spell, or that she had cursed him to fall because he had he was one of the he's one of the businessmen who believed that there should be a more equal partnership between the various factions, the dwarves that build the rails, mine the stuff, the various factories that would process it when it was brought back to Antwerp, the vendors who might sell the raw material or the processed material, all these things. And there was the best report that I got is Melody was out with her fiance, and they stumbled upon him, and some sour words were exchanged. And as he turned to leave, some witnesses claim that she as they put a hex on him, and then a moment later he was run over by a cart and killed pretty quickly. The unfortunate part is the witnesses. If you ask me, they're not necessarily looking for truth. They're looking for their version of the story, and these individual witnesses probably weren't being very truthful about what they saw. But I have not been able to talk to them. In fact, that's I had called you initially here to have this discussion about all this stuff. I was going to send you back to Antwerp, do a little investigation, perhaps talk to the dwarves, perhaps even investigate the mine yourself. Things like that to get more evidence so that we could kind of push this towards. It's my hope that Melody would be released, and as the last surviving Mathis, he looks at Terry, surviving for sure. Terry doesn't count. As the last surviving Mathis, she would have a say in this process, and if she was getting if she was going to get married, that would mean her husband would also have a say in this process, and her husband was or the man that was supposed to be her husband was a merchant from Meadowwild.
So all we have to do really is break her out of jail. If she's not imprisoned, they can't take the rights to the mine away from her.
Oh man, this is gonna bring me back.
No, actually, I think you have a point there. While in legal custody, while there are charges over her head, whatever, she is. The law basically says she has very little rights to anything. But were she not incarcerated? Yeah, that's.
Yeah, without knowing the specific mechanism or who's involved with it, it appears to be a clear attempt to disenfranchise her so she cannot lay claim to what rights are hers. If we can get her out of imprisonment, that shouldn't be an issue.
No, she would definitely have a legal leg to stand on, and as the last surviving member of the Mathis family, she would be even unmarried, she would be allowed more of a direct say. I mean, obviously there are numerous parties involved in these deals, so the amount of say you get is, in comparison to others is, it's kind of a percentage deal. But without her around, there'd be no Mathises, so the dwarves would really just sweep in, take the rest. If she's around and not currently imprisoned in what I would call a what's this? It's not really a court. It's more of a criminal enterprise. It's owned by, I mean, most of the legal system is owned by the merchants there. So if you're making money, that's a small family standing in your way of a lot of platinum. Unrefined. just imagine the value of it.
Yeah, it would have been easier to just have her killed, but
perhaps. But now this is as a bard, I can, or as a former bard and who's retired, I can tell you that not every nefarious person thinks about the most direct way. Some like to have this dramatic flair to their actions, and there are no bigger dramatic actors than at least that branch of dwarves. Love to appear straightforward and businesslike, and
they're making a
then
mockery of the law by doing all of this.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And like I said, I mean, I don't know all the details, but this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm seeing from around the town. I mean, I haven't gone into the Mathis house, and there's a good reason for that. I myself cannot go in there.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it because you'd be trespassing?
No, there's
Are you a vampire?
Yeah, can you not be letting
No.
people?
No.
letting people...
No, but there are shortly after both mother and father died, there appeared to be some sort of magic that kept that kept all the citizens of Rustgrave out.
Oh, so you mean like a door? It's not even like. It turns out it's not even magic. It's literally just a door, and people don't know how to turn the handle.
It's something like that. But but none of us have been able to actually open it, and even the priestess has not been able to figure it out. We've had a couple of other adventurers come, and let's just say they were.
I don't know what
not successful.
Our options are here.
I know. Is there like is there a back door? Is there a door that goes into a?
The charges against the Mathis girl are so flimsy. It makes me wonder if the people in the legal system here are bribed, compromised.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Sorry, that I like half of all crime is dealt with by fines and other things. And when I say fines, I most certainly mean bribes and backdoor business contracts and
wow, there's actually crime here. That's a shock. Doesn't seem like anyone actually does anything. Like, oh, I would assume, you yelled at me. Okay, here's a fine.
No, it's more the crime in the
dying help. Okay, I'm good. Sorry.
It's more of the crime in Antwerp where she's being held that's like this. It's what the most crime we get in this town. Well, aside from what's happened over the past few days and the mysterious deaths over the past few months, it's been things like people stealing eggs or people skipping out on paying for the inn room. The minor things. It's not a very. It's never. Rushgrave has never really been a hub for anything until recently.
The true problem with that, though, is if we find evidence that she's innocent, they're just going to ignore and dismiss it anyway. It seems like everybody here is invested in the Mathis family not having access to the mine.
See, and I thought about that. And I'm not quite sure that everybody. I mean, most everybody is buyable, if you get what I'm saying there. But I'm not sure everybody agrees in the same thing. And the problem is finding out who and what and where their allegiances lie, and then finding out how much it costs to change that. He's like, and I don't have a whole lot, but and he bends back down, and you notice that back near the edge of the table, there's like a pack, and he pulls this pack out and lays it on the table, opens it, and there are like 5 bars of platinum in it. They're about um they're about 2 feet long and about 4 inches kind of wide. He's like, these pretty much, this is the town treasury. It's a start. I'm sure we can buy a few votes here or there with this. But it's, my main concern now, given everything that I've seen, is starting with the dwarfs, finding out, like, maybe having a discussion with them that doesn't involve labeling them as crooks or anything. Have, like, I can't really talk directly to them without them. Well, I think they're kind of fully aware of where I stand on things. So any discussion that I were have with them would only result in muddying the waters more. And with that, we're gonna stop for a second, and we're gonna switch back over to Katie. And we'll give you guys a few moments to think about that discussion. So, Katie, the troll is now exited, saying that you're not to be eaten. He's kind of put himself back into the pond. What ideally would you choose to do now? If you like, you are a bit of away from these dwarves. You could probably get to their camp in a few hours. You have been walking for a good deal of the day and night, and it's kind of, you're getting a little tired, but it's not something you couldn't, work beyond if necessary.
Okay. I'll press on.
So, as you've gone past this pond and you start to walk along the way, it's only about an hour or so more that you start to see on a hill, pretty startling situation, as there are about 3 dozen large tents right near the edge of this forest, and there are you can count, at least even from here, several stumps of trees, large, very old trees have been cut down, and there's a large there's a burning fire in the center of all these tents, that doesn't quite look like it. It doesn't quite look like it's a controlled flame. In fact, you can hear now, as you start to get closer, several dwarven voices shouting, fetch some water, fetch some buckets. There's a problem, and there's screaming and everything, and that's when you see, probably, field of vision, like straight ahead, is this cluster of tents, the cut down trees, the fire, and you just kind of take a look for just a moment off to your what would be essentially to the northwest, kind of in your view, and there is a um, there's a troll. Looks a bit a bit like the one you saw before, maybe at least from this distance. But he appears to be throwing uh, balls of something dark towards the camp, and when they strike near where this main fire is going, they kind of explode and just spread fire more places. He seems to be like in general from where you're at. It looks like it's like a tar, like a pitch or something on these uh, these balls of material that he's throwing at these dwarves, and yet for whatever reason, the dwarves that are in this camp don't seem to notice him throwing these things. They just seem to be trying to deal with the fire.
Okay. So I will approach the troll.
Yep. So as you start to head towards the troll, it's pretty straightforward. You go past all up a few small hilly areas, and you get to this troll, and you see like all around this troll's feet are these balls of look like twigs and leaves and stuff that have just kind of been crushed together and have been put with this naturally occurring tar, and he just seems to have coated these balls in this tar and is just tossing them at the dwarves in the fire. When you arrive, he seems to be gleefully yet tossing another one, and this one actually manages to hit one of the dwarves on the head right before it bursts into flames. The ball, and that dwarf doesn't really have much of a chance of escaping before he also is pretty much engulfed in flames and stuck to the stickiness of this tar ball thing. And the troll still just kind of just bending down. He grabs one, he tosses it again. There's a lot of laughing, and then he tosses it again, or picks up another one, tosses it again. He doesn't seem to really be paying attention to you. You do see as you get a little closer, there's like a twitch to his nose. For a moment, that seems to think that maybe he had kind of caught a scent of you or something, but he still seems more intent on throwing these balls of material at the dwarves.
So I'll go up to him and just yell at him, "What are you doing?"
So you walk up and you start yelling, and that's okay. So as you do that, he's about to chuck this next ball of tar, and you start yelling, and he drops it. It kind of instead of like falling completely to the ground, though, it lands on his chest and kind of slowly rolls down his chest, leaving behind this like line of tar. And he looks down at you, and you can see that his left eye is completely glazed over. Looks like a white film. Looks like it's probably been blinded many years ago or whatever. But on his right side, he has his right eye is in the normal position, but then he has like three eyes just kind of semicircle around that eye up to the top. So he's got four blinking eyes when he looks at you on the right side of his face. It's like he takes a couple of deep sniffs in your direction, and like he goes, just it looks like he's about to say something, and then yep. As he's just about to say something, the dwarves finally uh, retaliate in some way, and there's a large stone that is catapulted from that camp, and it hits the troll in the head, and he happens to go down to one knee. So now he's a kind of more almost he's getting closer to your eye level now at this point. He's got the tar down on his belly. He's down on one knee. This rock is kind of loosened his position and or his footing. He's fallen down. He looks at you and is like, "Not allowed to eat you. Go away."
You go away.
I am doing job.
Uno
I am
reverse
doing
card.
my job. Yeah, I am doing my job. I was told stop dwarfs from cutting down trees. I am burning dwarfs. That is good job.
It is bad job.
See, it doesn't make sense. If I kill dwarves, dwarves don't chop down trees. Job good.
If fires burn up trees, there is no trees to save.
Well, they started it.
Are you a child?
I'm doing a good job.
Bad job.
He points a kind of wrinkly, kind of blackish green finger at you, and he goes, "And they said I'm not allowed to eat you, but they didn't say I'm not allowed to hit you." So, who's doing a bad job now?
Still you.
In that, when you say that, he looks like he's about to up and swing at you again, and yeah, a second stone comes from that camp and knocks him back. Uh, this time he takes that right to the head. That's going to leave quite a mark, but he's out cold, and you're just kind of standing with this, or standing to this unconscious troll, not too far away from the camp, and you can see that they're seeming to load another stone and heading. This stone is probably going to head in your direction, whether or not it's meant to hit you or not. You're pretty close.
Okay. So I'll go and approach the dwarves then.
Right. And as you start to go past this thing, there is another shot. They don't seem to be aiming in your direction. They do seem to be aiming back towards where the troll was. And as you arrive at this dwarven camp, there's chaos going on. There's fires going on. There's a team loading up a small catapult. They're still firing more of these stones back in the direction of this dwarf. And the whole time, there's one guy with extremely short gray and red hair. He's got a bit of a mohawk. His beard, what beard he has left looks like it had probably been hit by flames and then had to be like cut really short. He's just like pointing out various things and yelling at them to like get this. He's like, get the buckets over there, get the fire under control, keep shooting at the troll, and then he sees you and he's like, what the hell are you doing here?
I was supposed to deliver a message. but I guess we need to save these trees first.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of lumber we're gonna lose if we don't stop that. And he's like, he's still giving orders, and he starts to walk over towards you through the thing, still shouting orders at various people in Common, in Dwarven, several other languages as he goes. What you do, the thing that you do notice about this much is that while the majority of these people seem to be dwarves in this, the there are like a half dozen uh one creature, very large, looks like a or one creature looks sorry, 1 second. I got a little thing here. One creature looks kind of like a looks a lot like a human, although he has a kind of exaggerated features. He is a bit larger than the rest of them, about 8 feet tall. Is kind of very wide face, very wide arms, and everything. He seems to be wearing kind of nothing but like these pair of like leather shorts, and he's commanding the rest of these smaller creatures look a lot like goblins to bring the buckets around to kind of try to put out the fire on the various trees. He is doing this, and you can see this off in the distance. And the other person comes forward. And he goes, "So the dwarf comes forward. Is like, so what's your message? What did you want? Why are you here? This is there's so much going on. We'll have the fire under control, but you obviously, royalty, have a message for me. I'm sure. What can I do for you?"
Royalty?
Well, yeah, I mean, why else would you be here in the middle of the night if you weren't some princess or queen or high muck to whatever? I don't know, just someone of importance. Because if you weren't important, you wouldn't be bothering me right now.
Right. I am a princess, queen, somebody. I was told that you must stop cutting down trees.
So, okay. So you've come to tell me to stop cutting down trees.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Under whose authority?
trees.
Under the trees. Did that troll hit you in the head? Did we accidentally hit you
No.
with one of our stones? Like, trees don't talk.
They talk to me.
Okay. I'll tell you what. We'll make a deal with you. You can go back to wherever you came from, and you can tell them down these trees. Because we're cutting down these trees. You have my word.
Oh?
Yes. We will stop cutting down these trees. And he points out to the area where they're trying to stop the fire. You have my word. You can go back. You can tell whoever sent you here, we're in agreement. We're no longer going to cut down these trees.
How about no trees.
Be a difficult thing, isn't it? You're just not going to accept that. Okay. How about we have this further discussion once I get this fire under control and everything. And for the time being, there is a tent on the far eastern side of this camp. You can go there and get a bite to eat. Tell them the foreman sent you, and we will have this discussion as soon as we get this part controlled.
You don't want my help?
No. Our team has it. Trust me. Short time. This isn't the first time we've had to fight this fire. We'll get it done. We'll get it fixed. No more trees will be harmed. We can have this discussion, but you got to let me work with my team. So why don't you just go and have something to eat and relax for a few minutes, and then I'll be right back with you.
Can I roll a perception check?
Sure. Absolutely. I think maybe actually at this point you probably want insight
Okay.
more than perception. So yeah, roll an insight. Because I think you're really trying to figure out what he's saying to you, right?
Yeah. So I roll a d20?
Okay, yep. So what you're going to do is you roll a d20. In your case, you'll add a +2 to that, but you should, on your sheet, you should see wisdom, insight.
Okay.
Yeah.
11.
Okay. So in general, what you're getting from is he's kind of trying to a little bit blow you off at this point. You're not quite sure if it's because there's so much else going on or because he just doesn't really care what you're saying, but he kind of just wants you out of the way.
Okay. I'll oblige for now.
Okay. As you head, through the camp, past everything going on, you do see that these teams seem to be getting a pretty good handle on the fire now that this troll isn't, adding to it. And there also is another team that has gone off and they've gone off towards the troll to do something with this troll. And when you arrive at this tent, there's just a single guy there, or a single dwarf there, sitting at a desk. And you see that he has he has a pin like on his shirt, and he has like a little club in his hands, and this pin on his shirt, what you've seen before, it's been a long time, but it looks like it's officially like they're he's kind of like a deputized sheriff of this area, and he's like the only person waiting for you at this tent. There's no food. There's this dwarf here with this club that when you walk in, he sees you and he's like, so foreman sent you here?
Yep.
Well, I regret to inform you that, well, you know what? I don't regret to inform you. I would like to introduce you to your new job. You've been recruited You're going to help us clear this forest. And I've got about 8 men with crossbows out there. Should you choose to decline my kind and gracious offer, you will probably not leave this tent alive.
I should have stayed at home.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. So we'll come back to you in a minute. We'll shift back to the rest of you. You're having this discussion with Lego. It continues to go on about the various aspects of profiteering and finding a way, like, to kind of stick it to them. He's giving you this money. He's saying there's got to be at least someone that you could buy off or start to buy off with this kind of thing. Would enable you to kind of maybe get a meeting with her or something. You mentioned wanting to break her out of prison. It might be a good thing. You know, I'm a speed through a little bit of the, you know, his conversation on this end, but we'll get back to actually being able to have the full conversation as needed. But because a good first bit might be to investigate the dwarves. I don't know. It's going to depend upon kind of like, you know, I'm not an expert in this. It's not very often that I've had to run this kind of operation. So I think that ultimately it's going to be a learning experience for us all. So what can I do for you?
We need to speak to Melody. She has too many answers that we don't. We need to speak with her.
Agreed.
Yep.
Well, she's in Antwerp. She's in the Baker's jail right now. I know they call it Baker's jail. It's not really a Baker's jail. It's just the name of the place.
Bakers.
Yeah, it's just the name of the place. And I'm not sure that you could go directly there and have a conversation with her. I think there might be some palms that need to be greased and some other things that need to happen. But there's a tinker shop down there. I know a couple of people that I think I can trust, and they might be able to put you in touch with other people. And you can start from this network. You can do this thing and get a meeting with her in some fashion. I can't guarantee how quick this will happen or anything, but
We're going to need to go to Antwerp then.
Yeah, I would think so. I think that's going to be thing. Now, the problem I see with this is we haven't had a train come in today. The train came in. Well, now this is you guys have been here about 2 days now. The train came in 2 days ago when you arrived, or about a day and a half or so. But we haven't had another one since. And before you arrived, we were having trains daily, mostly
How long would it take to walk to Antwerp?
deliver supply. To get there, probably on foot, or do you have another means?
I have 4 feet.
Well, you would probably be able to do it. Well, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
All together, all of you, probably about a day and a half to maybe 2 days. If you stayed clear of the trolls, if you stayed clear of the lights at night. There's a theory. There's a bit of a fairy problem out there. They're not bad. They're just very interested in making most travelers' days more interesting.
Well, if the train's not available, we just need to get to Antwerp and talk to Melody.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you if another train is coming. I mean, I can try to send a message.
And get to Antwerp.
Yeah, but that shouldn't be. That's
We're
obvious.
going.
But it will take you a while. I mean, we'll take you, comparative to riding the train.
Maybe we'll find a bike in town.
But I can't. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I will keep contacting the people that I know. I will keep
You do what you can.
searching for stuff around here.
For us to get a meeting with her.
Yep.
And when we get to Antwerp, we will do what we can to speak with her.
Yes. That sounds like an absolutely good way to summarize this and end this conversation. He goes, I have some more things to drink and some people to call. So, well, not call, but yeah, kind of. Okay. He goes,
thing. We're going to get on the road.
If you need something, there's a shop down the road. It's called Things.
If it's not burned.
There's nobody there right now, so just take what you need. But please consider just taking what you need, not more.
I don't even have pockets, so I'm not going to take too much.
And he's like, and we will talk again. He reaches into his pocket and he pulls out. It's about this big. It looks like a flute, but at best it's a single note whistle. And he hands it to August. He goes, I don't know how much more magic there is in this thing, but you might be able to get a message or two off to me in a time of need. So best get on to going to where you're at, wherever you're going, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye.
And to emphasize this, that he has more things to drink, he has put down his mug and has reached up once again under the chair and pulled out just a large brown bottle, which he commences to take several swigs from while standing up and heading out.
Because that worked out well last time.
It always works out well.
When we leave, do you guys have any need to stop for supplies?
No, I'm pretty good with what I have on me.
Then yeah.
Yep.
As soon as we are on the road and the town is behind us, I just want to look over my shoulder and clearly state that everyone there deserves each other.
Okay. So you state that, and you're following the. You're starting to follow the tracks. And after a few hours, the only real thing that you see is to the west a bit. There's some thick black smoke in the sky. Looks like it's coming from looks like it's coming from a forested area, not like a human or not like an establishment, but more like naturally. Yes, yep, I agree. Naturally coming from a forested area, but staying close to the tracks, you don't have the same encounters with pretty much anything at first. So that's really the first sign of anything out of the abnormal that you, or anything out of the normal, sorry, that you see is this smoke.
My first thought about the smoke is totally not my problem. My second thought is we should unite the party.
Well, I mean, there is also no indication that this smoke has anything to do with the other member of the party, but yes.
I know. That's pure metagame goodness going on right there to get everybody back in the same place.
But you point off to the smoke and you decide to head that way?
Yeah, I really would like to have us all together.
Okay, so when you arrive at this this point, about an hour or so later, you see to your west a bit more. There was a sign of some sort of large battle. What's left now just looks like the burning carcass of about a 9-foot tall creature. Given it the amount of fire it's in right now and everything, and you know, a little bit of knowledge that you've had from other things, you can identify it as a troll that had recently been killed and then burnt, as you do. And you find several chopped down trees. Other trees are kind of, some of them are still smoldering. There's a circle of tents, but it seems like the majority of the individuals that are individuals that are part of this thing are now back towards the northeast of this little camp, towards they all seem to be surrounding one tent, and there's kind of a conversation going on. You don't get all the words, but you do hear a lot of like grunts and groans of encouragement coming from the people around this tent, shouting towards something in the center of it. But that's all that you see from your point of view right now. August.
Yes.
I do need a perception check from you, though.
Six.
Yeah. No, something didn't quite add up for you when you looked over the area of those tents, but then you looked back again and it's nothing. It's probably just the smoke that's been around a little too much. Didn't necessarily see what you thought you might have seen initially, which was hard to explain anyway. So so now you guys you're outside of this camp, and something is going on at the northeast corner of this camp. Don't know what you want to do.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it looks like we did lose Katie now.
I love you. Stay with me.
All right.
Meow.
So we're at that camp. I'm gonna fucking scream. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let someone else take charge because I feel like if I do take charge, something bad is gonna happen.
I mean, what's wrong with an innocent little doggy going?
Hello.
Peek his head in. Look at that playful dog. What a good boy.
Yeah.
we should just get closer and see what's going on.
Let's do it. Let's just bust our asses in there. Let's fucking do it.
As you start to move closer, two extremely malnourished goblins come out, and instead of like full shovels, they have like garden trowels, and they're like trying to they have those in their hands, and they're looking at you, and they're like, what do you want?
Dang, are you guys on the intermittent fasting diet, or what's going on here?
Do you need rations?
No, we're working right now.
Are you hungry though?
You can't eat until the work is done.
I feel like your body's already eating itself.
Dang, I wish I was at that point. No, IRL wish I was at that point, but like...
We do not sanction eating disorders.
No.
If you need help, reach out.
Yeah. And
yes,
you
important note.
Yep, absolutely. I do agree with that. But I'm sorry.
Nobody said anything.
No, I think Kevin was about to say something.
Oh, okay.
These goblins, and I know they've got problems.
But it's none of my business.
Right.
There we go. I put it elegantly.
So the chalkboard goes up, and it's like, what's going on over at the tent?
And
Second message goes up there. Can you read?
They look at the board, and you can see their like eyes are scanning the words. You think they're kind of getting it, but you also think they're pretty amazed to see a dog with a chalkboard over its head, and it might be the dog chalkboard thing is much more mesmerizing than like the message you're trying to convey to them. Because
I'll translate.
They start to lick their lips, and you get a bad feeling that they look like they're
hot dogs.
They're not opposed to taking a bite of Bosco.
Oh God.
I have rations if you're hungry.
I know, no bitey dog, please.
This is Chance.
Fine.
He's a good boy.
You
Chance?
Wouldn't it be Shadow, actually? Never mind.
Give us food, and then we'll tell you what's going on.
Okay, here you go. Can I watch you eat it so I know that nobody takes it from you? I'll guard you.
I want to watch you eat.
Yeah. I
won't look, but I'm just gonna...
Yeah. It doesn't actually last long. By the time it gets from your hand to their hand, the next stop is their mouth. There's no like further discussion with you or anything. It's just down, and most of it's in you could basically see these large bites that most other people would start to choke on. They just seem to they get into the throat, and then you just see them grab their own throats, and they're just like pushing it down inside. They don't seem to care for any kind of choking at this point. They're just
be safe.
Yeah. They just like eat it all, and then they're like they just walk off. They don't even like have any more. They start to turn around and walk off, leaving the way for you right open to the tent if you'd like. Or, you can stop them and have a conversation.
Whatever the dog version of an audible sigh is. And then I'm going to walk off towards it.
Yep. And as you start to go back there, you basically, you see that all these groups are in there, and most of them are complaining about having to put out more fires and everything, but you hear one strong kind of dwarven voice go, "Oh, don't worry about it. We have a new recruit here today. She will be joining the next the next event to happen, don't worry. She seems pretty capable. We don't know quite what she does yet, but she'll do fine in helping you deal with this stuff.
She's
deal
capable,
is
but we don't know what her capabilities are.
the deal is we have to clear this area by the end of the week. If we don't, the plan fails and all of you are out of jobs. Including our new recruit. And you can kind of see like the crowd's kind of parting, and it's the humanoid, sorry, that you saw earlier, who had the discussion with you guys in Rusgrave. She doesn't seem very, I don't know, you don't seem very happy to be there, do you?
Oh, hey, we know you. Weird.
The chalkboard is going to go up large because I think we're pretty far away from her right now.
Yeah.
Are you in need of assistance?
It's like, Miss Tika,
Are you choking?
do you need assistance?
Yeah, so as the whole thing is going on, and they're yelling at each other, yelling back and forth, you're kind of been drafted into this thing. You can't decide, like, there are ways to get out, but you're trying to decide which is the better way to do it. And then you see this little chalkboard kind of pop out from above the thing. It's very similar to the board that you had seen before with the dog in that town, and it's basically asking you if you need help.
I'm just gonna like raise my arms over my head, like
Please. I think we should help her.
The dwarf who was giving the speech earlier, is he nearby?
Yeah, he's from where you're at, he's probably about 50 feet away.
Okay.
More towards your northeast from you, but yes,
So
he's within eyesight.
the chalkboard will go up and ask the question: is forced labor, also known as slavery, part of your normal business practice?
And they're having a whole discussion. Let's see. He doesn't seem to see your chalkboard.
I will bark a firebolt into the air to get his attention.
Okay. So a moment while this whole thing is going on, they're having this whole grumbly discussion about stuff, and you're about to be recruited into this job that you're probably not eager to do, seeing as the whole point of the message was not to cut down any more trees. There's a large bark and a gout of flames shoot up into the air, and everybody stops and turns to face Bosco.
And I'm just going to be sitting there with a doofy puppy face on.
I think we're gonna do this. I think we're gonna do this because we've got like 10 minutes left. I'm getting kind of a bit of a tickle in my throat. I think we're gonna stop right here with this fireball introduction, and that next time we get together next week, pending schedules, we will have the whole we'll do the whole interaction of dealing with this camp and how they react to you. As I think we're all, some of us are starting to drift away. I've got this thing with my throat right now, and
it's Friday. We're all dying.
Yep.
Everybody's always dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with Rozzy tonight.
No.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Cinder Wizard, Twitter, and Instagram. Bye.
Okay.
That was fast. Who goes next there, Rozzy?
Let's do Kevin.
So if anyone wants to track me down, Evil Sales Ass on Twitter is the best way to do so. We will be back here Sunday night when I take Rozzy, Nick, and Derek, plus our good friend Lauren, back into our Curse of the Azure Bonds game. I did forget one. Who did I forget?
Jess.
Jess.
Oh my god. Yeah. Rip in peace, Jess. Like...
Don't tell Jess. They're going into Zenzel Keep as part of the Curse of the Azure Bonds adventures. I'm sure that will go just fine, and there's no chance they will have any problems with the various Zent militias. And
okay, we get it. Wow.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
No chance of a bar fight there at all. I'm certain.
Oh God.
And then,
hey! I went into a bar. I had a drink, and I didn't hit anybody.
There was no bar fight last time.
That is
wild. Yep. So what are the chances of that happening twice? In any event, Monday night we're gonna be back where there's just an encounter with a shadow dragon, and things take a bit of a dramatic turn there. But we'll be back both games Sunday and Monday. Until then, let's hear what Nick has to say.
I was gonna say, I'm like, whoa, you skipped like 3 people. Well, I am Nick. I can be found at BlueAura94YT on Twitter. I'm a very, very tired right now. I've had a draining week. And find me on the Carpe Nerdus page as well, where we are active most of the time. Other than that, yeah, I'm just gonna pass it to it's Rick. Or actually, no, I'm not gonna.
No.
I'm not gonna pass it off to you because you're the. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it off. Sorry, my nose is really itchy right now. I'm gonna pass it off to Katie.
Yes, Katie.
Hi. I don't really do much online, but you can find me at Katie Bugs just about anywhere. KATEYBUGZ. Instagram is the thing I use.
Okay. Yep. And yep. I'm Disposable Idiot on Twitter. A couple weeks back, I attempted to do a thread about some lore for the game. We had some issues with some bugs. I keep getting this. I'm still getting this auto refresh BS from Twitter. So like I start to read things and like 10 seconds later it refreshes and I can't find the tweet that I was looking at. So until we get an update that kind of allows that to it might be a little while, but I do plan on still doing some questions and answers, lore stuff, talk some stuff. I think that we had a pretty bad case of the Fridays today, but I wanted to thank everybody for coming. I think everybody did an excellent job, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a great one, everyone. Bye.